Lance Johnson here, the host of the See-Through Podcast, a podcast that creates transparency on disabilities and the champions with them. Today, I'm talking with the world-class athlete, Lex Gillette. Lex is a blind Paralympic athlete and a Paralympic silver medalist in the long jump. Lex also currently holds the world record in the long jump. On top of that, Lex is a motivational speaker and singer. That's right, a singer. But you'll hear all about that and more on this episode of the See-Through Podcast. Here comes episode 4. Hey Lex, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you?
Good. It's like storming where I'm at right now.
Really?
Yeah. It's coming down. You're in California, right?
I'm in San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah, I'm in San Diego. So I was outside earlier getting a workout in, and it's sun out, nice breeze. It feels really good. It's probably about 75, 80 degrees outside, so can't complain.
I'm jealous of that.
Now, are you in the city?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see you're from Raleigh, North Carolina?
I am.
Yeah, I moved from Raleigh a couple years ago. I was living there for a while. Love that place.
That's crazy. Small world.
Yeah, I know. So you grew up in Raleigh?
I did. Yep. Good old Raleigh, North Carolina. Tar Heel fan. Grew up listening to Tar Heel basketball, football, Carolina Panthers fan. Basically, I love sports. So listen to a lot of those things on the radio.
Yeah, my dad went to UNC Chapel Hill, so I grew up watching and pulling for the Tar Heels.
Yeah.
He's
a good man.
And I also am a Carolina Panthers fan myself, so we got that going.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I guess on that note, we just talked about you growing up in Raleigh. Do you mind kind of giving some of the listeners some insight into your childhood and your experience of losing your vision?
Yeah. Grew up in Raleigh, so the first 8 years of my life, I was able to see pretty well. And one day I had come home from school, went through my normal routine. That night, I was inside of the bathtub. Actually, I was taking a bath and getting ready for bed, and started noticing that my sight was blurred for no apparent reason. And told my mom. We took some water, cleaned my eyes out. It didn't clear my sight any. Next day, we went to the doctor. After an examination, they said I needed to have an emergency operation because I was suffering from retina detachments. And that led to a string of 10 operations that I had in that 1 year. And it was go to the hospital, get the operation. I would be able to see well for, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks. And then after that time, my sight would get blurry again. And it would be a lot more blurry than what it was the time before. And so we would go back. Another examination revealed that I had a retina detachment. And again, we go have an operation, fix it. I could see well for another 3 or 4 weeks. And then after that time period, sight begins to get even more blurry. And that was the pattern for the entire time that I was 8 years old. And after the last operation, that 10th one that year, doctors said that there was nothing else they could do to help my sight. And they said I would most likely become blind. So from there, it was go home, go through your normal routine. And each day you see a little less than what you do the day before, until one day you wake up and you're not able to see anything. So certainly, I think back on it a lot, and it's like, wow, I mean, it was a gradual thing. And at 8 years old, of course, there's so many things are going through your mind, but fortunately, after a while, I have a really phenomenal mom and really great support system, and they helped me overcome it.
Yeah, wow. So it's officially called retinal detachment. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with recurrent retina detachments, and like retina detachments, you hear boxers get it a lot because they're getting slapped upside the head and stuff like that. So it's typically some sort of blunt force or accident, or as you get older, someone who may be who's been blessed to see many years on this earth, they may experience a retina detachment. But as an 8-year-old boy, I couldn't really point to anything specifically that I could say, oh, this is what caused that. I was flipping around and doing the typical kid activities, but there wasn't any one thing that we could pinpoint it and say, oh, this is why it happened.
Interesting. Do you ever think about that still, or is it pretty much just have accepted it?
Yeah, I just kind of just moved on from it. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like it's just helped me in so many ways. I think, at this point in life, people are like, oh man, how are you able to stay so positive and have a good outlook on life? And I just feel like how much more, what's worse than going blind? I mean, there's a lot of things out there that can happen to us. But to literally see the world and to gradually experience it vanish, that's tough. So I feel like every day that I'm alive is I just look at the situation like, I mean, today is going to be awesome. Like I've kind of endured something really huge already. The magnitude of it was excruciating. But what more can happen?
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I have a vision disability myself. It's called retinitis pigmentosa.
Oh yeah.
Mine's in the early stages. So, but mine affects my peripheral vision and my ability to see in the dark. So, basically adjusting to it daily. It does require mental adjustments. And
yeah, and it's different too, depending on your age and when you experience sight loss. I think that kids are just remarkable anyway, and their ability to adjust and adapt and be resilient and things that they experience. You're just, as a kid, you're like, okay, well, this is what it is. This is what I know. Whereas when you're 30, 35 years old and you experience sight loss, you probably have a job. You may have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or whatever. You may be in a relationship. You may be married. You might have kids. And to go through the sight loss then is a different type of situation. And I feel like it would be a lot more challenging because you're basically established in your life. And so for that to happen at that stage in life, man, that would be really tough.
Yeah, well, you know what? I agree with what you said, and I think timing does have something to do with it. And I only know what I know.
Yeah,
so
right.
Just like you only know what you know, and it's everyone has their personal experience, and
sure.
and hearing about having to overcome it at a younger age, I think seems like you had more obstacles to overcome than I did. So I give you mad credit for that, dude.
No, maybe. I mean, everything is relative, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure, the obstacles that we face are, fortunately we were able to overcome them and things like that. But I mean, it may be tough for me, and then you may face the same things, and it may not be as tough. But I think it also has something to do with being exposed to like resources and tools and great minds out there and people who have already experienced it. And being in Raleigh helped out a lot because there's a lot of accessibility there in terms of transportation and yeah, I stayed in mainstream public school, so I had a visually impaired program or department that was a part of all of my schools. So even though I was, in your typical classroom setting, I always had a space where I could go to and get books in Braille, or to get my assignments transcribed from Braille to print, or basically whatever I needed, so that I would still be able to do my thing and stay in public school.
I've never thought about that, but yeah, educational resources probably are more available in certain places than others.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
how was going to school and adjusting to that?
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I think that a lot of people ask me, "Oh man, were you bullied?" and things like that. And, people like to crack jokes and all of that stuff. But I'm a jokester too, so I could definitely dish it back. But it was a lot of fun in school. And then once I had gotten into sport, it was really fun, because now kids they're looking at you and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, like, this guy, he's blind and he's able to do this, that, and the third, and he can run fast and he can jump far." And so it had like a extra bit of for you, and just the notoriety. And when you're in high school, you feel like you're big stuff when people when they know you and recognize you, blah 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 blah. Part of that too was probably like I'm the token blind person, that's at the school. So I know that certainly had something to do with it. But I had a lot of friends also. We hung out outside of school, and I had friends who we would study, and they would help me get my assignments done, and do group projects and all of those other things. So I would say that my experience was pretty, just a normal experience.
Cool. Yeah, right on. So it sounds like in high school is when you got really into track and field.
Yeah, once I got into high school, I got into more of the organized sports. And like prior to me losing my sight, I used to play rec league baseball. I wasn't swimming competitively, but I had taken swimming lessons, and I knew how to swim, and would do the cannonballs and can openers and stuff like that into the pool. And then after I lost my sight, of course, I had to regain that confidence again. But I learned about goal ball. I learned about beat baseball. I learned about, my mom did a really good job with finding resources and tools and technology and anything possible that would expose me to just absolutely everything that could help me become a well-rounded human being. And so, excuse me. Yeah, I remember she bought me a basketball one time that had some bells in it. So I used to, bounce that around outside, and eventually she bought me a beat baseball one time. And so, long story short, she always found things that would help me and help me see that I could be included as well. And once I got into high school, I used to wrestle. So I was on the wrestling team my freshman and sophomore year, and then I was introduced to track and field as a freshman. And from there, it was on and popping.
Nice. Yeah, that's honestly a kind of a late start for someone.
Yeah.
For the listeners out there, just so you're aware, Lex is a world record holder in the long jump and a 2019 world champion gold medalist and a silver medalist in the 2016 Paralympics. So to start as a freshman, like, it must have just kind of came naturally.
Yeah, to your point, I have a lot of friends who they talked about running summer track when they're single digit years old. And so for me to start at 15, it's like, wow, okay. But I think that given the fact that I was an athletic kid, that helped out as well. And it also helped that I had a teacher who he knew about the Paralympic Games and he knew about adaptive sports and recreation. And whenever we had PE class and other opportunities where we were just out playing around, having a good time, he was able to make sure that that environment was an inclusive one, and I was able to just fit in with the rest of my friends and classmates.
Nice. So how bummed were you when the 2020 Paralympic Games were postponed?
It was tough. It was definitely tough because your training and visualization is a huge thing. It's very important to me, and so I was in Tokyo 5 months before before it was supposed to happen.
Wow.
I was scheduled to compete on the very first day of track and field competition. It was going to be during the evening session, so of course there's going to be a lot of people there, bright lights. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, they're going to be out there coming to watch me compete, coming to watch me win this gold medal, and that drives you, that motivates you. And so now in those training sessions, you're hitting it hard, and you just place a lot of emphasis on, I need to get this right, because at the end of the day, I mean, you spend days upon days upon days upon days training, years upon years, to have this one moment in time to compete. And so, like, the duration of, I get 6 attempts in a long jump competition. So if you add up the amount of time that it takes for each jump, which from the time that I start running to the time that I land inside of the pit, it may be like 5-6 seconds. My approach is like 35 meters or whatnot. And so I could definitely cover that ground in that amount of time. And then you add the jump to the end. Let's just say, for the sake of the example, 7 seconds. And you get 6 attempts. 6 times 7 is 42 seconds. So you train for 4 years for 42 seconds.
That's intense.
It's crazy.
That's intense.
And so, but yeah, I mean, when they said that, things were going to be pushed back, it was a bummer. Because you think about all of those things and it's like, man, I'm ready to go compete. I'm ready to represent my country. I'm ready to have that feeling of standing on the podium and getting that gold medal placed around your neck, and just the journey, the process is absolutely amazing. And for them to essentially move that finish line further away, it's like, I gotta wait. But the awesome thing is that, you regroup, you allow yourself to kind of, come back to the center and get yourself together, get it under control. The reality is it's a postponing, it's not a cancellation. So let's just use this additional time to work on some things that can be strengthened. I mean, we can always become better and work at something. So, just using this time to get it right and ultimately, just have some additional time to get ready.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure all the athletes were just as bummed as you were, but also are probably trying to take advantage of the extra training time. So how are you keeping in shape during this quarantine? Is it hard to do out in San Diego right now?
Yeah, initially it was. I was doing a lot of stuff in my place, so I ordered some equipment, and so I was able to do some of those things in home. And my strength and conditioning coach wrote the workouts, and I would just do them alone in my place. And so now that things are slowly starting to open up a little bit, I'm able to get back outside and kind of be under the sun and get some running in, do some drills. And yes, it's still not 100% back to normal, but man, what is normal going to look like anyway here in,
Yeah, I agree.
once they actually open the doors and really let people back into the world, into the country. But yeah, I mean, I'm able to do what I need to do to stay in some sort of shape, which is the main thing.
Yeah, because I imagine you're out on the track training, but I imagine there's a lot of weightlifting involved.
Yeah, and see, we're not allowed to utilize any of the weight rooms at this present time. So, yeah, I mean, I feel very like muscle definition and stuff like that is just non-existent right now. I feel like, but hopefully we'll be able to get back to that, to those weights here soon.
Yeah. I used to play football and tennis in high school, and to be honest, I kind of lost track of keeping myself in shape for a handful of years. So I've been getting back in shape during this quarantine, and my at home workouts have honestly been some of my favorite moments of quarantine. It's one of the only things keeping me sane. So I'm assuming that while it's not the perfect workout for you, it's still probably like able to keep your mind sharp and focused on the next year.
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of workouts do you do? Like, I know you're a long jumper, so you have to really focus on probably lower body. Like, what can you kind of walk me through, like your like workout regimen?
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty spot on. Do a lot of leg focused activities, legs, core, everything from the core down is getting some sort of work. So when we're specifically on the track, we do a lot of drills, and so that helps you to just make sure you're in the right positions when you're out there competing. So you do the high knees, you do the butt kicks, the karaoke's. There's a lot of there's some other things that my coach has, like weird name, like Frankensteins and cherry pickers and smell the toes and all that other stuff. But yeah, we go through those drills. So the cool thing is, as a long jumper, you got to bring speed down the runway in order to jump far. So it's pretty normal that long jumpers they sprint. So they'll run 100 meters or 200 meters for competition. And then when you get to the runway, you're able to bring that speed down that stretch of track so that you can get into that back portion of the long jump pit. And then in the weight room, we do a lot of power cleans, a lot of squats, back squats, front squats. We do snatches. We do back hypers.
Sounds like everything.
Yeah, man. Listen, in any situation, like a normal training year, it would be just Monday through Friday, going at it. Monday through Friday. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays are lift days. Excuse me, most times. But then we'll switch to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and just depends on the block of training and what we're trying to focus on at that time. So 3 days a week of lifting, and then we're on the track 5 days a week.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I watch a lot of sports, but I forget that it's your full-time job. Like, it's the athlete's full-time job. So anytime I hear about like just training every day, it's probably in my head, it would feel different to work out with that sense of purpose. Like, oh, I'm getting paid to do this, versus like, oh, I need to do this for my health. Am I right there?
Absolutely. I mean, as a profession, you want to make sure that you're taking care of the things that you need to take care of so that you can get the results that you want. But then I also feel like this is most certainly a lifestyle for me. And I know that once it's all over and I'm not doing it competitively, I know that I'm going to want to continue to work out because it makes you feel good. It keeps that stress off of you. I just feel like a better person when I'm out there working out and sweating, and you feel healthy, and I know that I'm also actively trying to work on some just things from a nutrition standpoint, because the reality is once it's all over, I may not be able to shed that weight or that that fat the way I can right now. And if I can do what I can right now to kind of set myself up so that it won't be a those temptations won't be after it's all said and done, temptations just won't be there.
The quarantine, it can definitely add some temptations into your diet,
Oh man, and I definitely have had my fair share of my donuts or whatever, gummy bears and stuff like that. I have a very weird palate sometimes when it comes to some of my guilty pleasures.
Nice. Yeah, I think I like your taste palette, man. I like gummy bears. But yeah, man. So you have to train year round. It's physically prepping your body, but then you also have to mentally prep for the events. And then once the event is there, once you're at the event, what does that feel like? And can you kind of walk me through like how it works? Because I know you're a blind long jumper. So how, for the listeners out there, can you maybe explain to them how what's your process and like knowing when to jump and how that works?
Yeah, so I have a guide who stands at the takeoff board, and so in the long jump, there's a board that is in the ground. It's flush with the track. So there's not anything that you have to necessarily step up onto. A lot of times you won't even, at the major competitions like the Paralympic Games, you wouldn't even really notice it was there. It just feels like it's a part of the track. And so for me, since I can't see the takeoff board, I have a guide who stands there and he's clapping and he's yelling, "Fly, fly, fly, fly." So that's letting me know which direction I need to run. And from there, I know how many strides it takes for me to get from point A to point B, which is 16 strides. And on a really good day, when I'm moving fast and doing what I need to do, that's about 34, 35 meters away from the takeoff board. I use those 16 strides to cover that ground, and I'm counting those strides in my head. And once I get to my 16th stride, my guide, he moves out of the way, and I jump and fly through the air and land in the sand pit. It is crucial that your guide is loud so that you have an idea of where you need to go, because once you get inside of these huge stadiums, their voice can echo, or the crowd may be a little rowdy and loud. So you want to make sure that you have a guide who can really get those signals out there loud, and that you can create that get that feeling of like, oh, I know exactly where I need to run, and once I get there, I can do what I need to do. And I also wanted to mention too that at this point we work on it so much that those 16 strides, there's just something in my mind that lets me know that, okay, boom, it's time for you to jump. So a lot of times I'm not in my head saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's literally like, okay, I know I'm gonna take these first few steps, and I'm gonna start to pick up the speed and da-da-da-da-da, and I hear my guy getting closer, and after a while it's boom, you gotta jump.
Yeah, that's super interesting to me. It's muscle memory right now, but how long did it take you to kind of get it locked in, and we're able to just like nail those 16 strides?
I would say my first time really doing the long jump was at a sports education camp in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And it was a week-long camp, and during that camp, you would choose a number of events to try out during the week. And then at the end of the week, you would have a friendly competition against all of the other participants who had chose those events, those specific events as well. So I was up there trying it out, and for what is worth, I was able to dial it in there. And once I got back to North Carolina, though, that's when I joined my high school track team, and I was actually able to put in some effort and consistent work with it. So it definitely took a few months for sure for me to just get the basics down. But of course, with anything, it takes much longer than that to reach a level of mastery.
Definitely. And you also have to wear a blindfold, right, when you run?
Yes. Yeah. So they want to make sure that all of the athletes are on a level playing field. So we have to wear opaque glasses or goggles. And now they actually make us put these, I don't even know what you would call them. They're just patches. So you have to put a patch over both of your eyes now, and then put the blindfold over that. So they're not planning the games right now. They want to make sure that everyone is completely blind.
Oh, that's interesting, and it makes total sense actually when you think about it. I saw the picture of you, and you were wearing Nike made you your own a blindfold, right?
Yeah. In the lead up to 2016, I was up at the Nike campus and was having a chit chat with the team up there, and they were like, "Hey, if there's anything that we could do to help, like what would it be?" And so
it looks cool.
We talked about the blindfold, and because a lot of times, man, I used to compete in these sleep shades, and like something that you would get from a hotel. And so I would wear those, and I mean, I would imagine that probably looks okay, but the blindfold that I have now, man, that thing is it's incredible.
Yeah, it looks.
It's almost like superhero type.
Exactly. I saw a picture of you. You were wearing the blindfold, and you also had a cape on. I was like, that's it right there.
Yeah.
You know what? And speaking of Nike, I'll admit it, I was creeping on your Instagram, and I noticed that you're a big fan of sneakers. It seems like you have quite a shoe collection.
Yeah, I have a lot of shoes. I have a lot of shoes. That's probably an understatement.
How many shoes are you on?
Oh, gosh. I mean, easily probably 70, 80 pair of shoes.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. And I might be shortchanging it, but I have a lot of Jordans, and of course, being from North Carolina, Michael Jordan is from North Carolina, went to North Carolina. You can't be in North Carolina and not know about Michael Jordan. And
100%. Yeah.
He's the GOAT.
For sure.
You can't even be like in the country and not know who Michael Jordan is, in the world and not know who Michael Jordan is. But it's just it just resonates different with me being from North Carolina, and he is the GOAT.
Yeah, and the jump man symbol,
Exactly. Right. And but yeah, I was like, man, a lot of people ask me about how do you know what clothes are what, and how do you know what color your shirts are and your sneakers and all this other stuff. And so I was like, well, it only makes sense for me to talk about my Jordans while The Last Dance is going on. And I went through a little string of videos and explaining to people, these are these Jordans. And I know that these are Jordan 11s because they have the patent leather and they have the logo that's placed on this portion of the shoe. And I know that these are Jordan 6s because it has this loop on the back of the heel, and then on the tongue of the shoe it has these two holes, and then the Jordan is written in a linear fashion across the top of the tongue. And so yeah, just kind of opening that door and giving people insight into how I'm able to identify those Jordans. And man, one of those videos I had posted it on, I had started and I was posting them on Twitter at first, and one of them had gotten like 160 some odd thousand views.
Wow.
And I was like, man, this is insane.
Yeah, keep doing it.
You're right. So, but yeah, I mean, it's. I think the main thing was just, number one, educating people on how I'm able to identify my shoes and figure out which ones I want to wear for the day and all that stuff. But I think number two, just whether you're blind or not, I mean, there are so many aspects of the things that we possess and the things that we own that we just don't shed any light on, or we're not aware of it. And so I think that the more that we can, kind of see and learn about the things that we own, and even the people we're connected to. I mean, there's so many aspects to life that just aren't, people just aren't aware of it. So really just trying to educate and provide more perspective and a different viewpoint.
Yeah, and you do a lot of that through your motivational speaking. I watched your TEDx talk, and I may have fist pumped a few times there, and it pumped me up, man. So how did you get into public and motivational speaking?
As an athlete, people just naturally want to know, like, what's your fastest mile time? What's your fastest 100-meter time? Or what do you eat? How much do you sleep? And I kind of had gotten thrown into it initially, and it was something that I was very uncomfortable, because at that particular time I was still dealing with some, just insecurities and are people looking at me funny, or do they think that I'm weird because I'm blind, or do my eyes look funny, and all of those things. And so I wasn't the most comfortable in my own skin. And the switch for me happened when I realized, listen, at the end of the day, Lex, it's not even about you. It is about everyone that's in the audience. And so if you can use your story or experiences to help shed light and to provide another perspective, to pump people up, to motivate them, but even more than that, to give them something that they can walk away and say, hey, I can apply this to my own life and get to where I need to be, and elevate and ascend to new heights, and just excelling. If I can help at least one person in that audience do that, then that's all that really matters. At the end of the day, who cares about how you might look or any of those things? I mean, at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. What really matters is just making sure that you can deliver some really good content and connect with people. And
yeah, I really like the points you make about some people are not able to tell the difference. I think you said between sight and vision,
right?
And yeah, that resonated with me. Can you maybe tell the listeners about that?
Yeah, I mean, sight is temporary. Like, you see one thing now and it's gone the next day. Sight is what is. It's your current reality, and vision allows you to see past your current reality. It allows you to see past the horizon, and you're able to see things before they exist. You're able to see what you can do, where you can go, and who you can become. And so when you have that vision, it drives you, it motivates you, it pushes you, and as you continue to work and as you continue to connect with others, because the other thing that I believe is that if it's an authentic vision and it's a true vision, then it's going to require others and that vision, it coming into fruition, is going to help tons of people. It's not there to just solely help one individual. It's something that helps to change a community, to change a culture, to change, thousands and thousands of mindsets out there, and change the world ultimately. And that's a real vision. And the other thing, I was kind of like, well, you know what? At the end of the day, since I know that this is going to involve others, this means that I'm going to be able to connect with some people who will help compensate and help in the areas that I may not be well versed in. I mean, the elephant in the room is like, hey, Lex, you're blind. I have a guide who helps me compete. I have a coach who's phenomenal. He writes my workouts. I have my strength and conditioning coach who writes my workouts for the weight room. I have a dietitian. I have a sports psych. I have so many different people who are a part of this vision, and everyone is working together to help me get on the podium. Even though I'm the one that's experiencing it directly, everyone lives through that moment vicariously. And when you have a vision, man, it has the power to give a lot of people wings, man, and lift them up and help them soar to new places in life.
I love what you just said about having your team. They're all helping you with your vision, and it's also a part of their vision too. So it probably feels amazing to have such a collaborative and supportive people around you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does like the motivational talking kind of feel like you're giving back a little bit?
Yeah. Because I've had so many people who have poured into me and invested so much time into my life. And when people dedicate their time, that is a resource that you cannot get back. And so when people dedicate their time, you really see that, oh, okay, they're serious. And I've had my mom, my teacher and first coach. I've had my orientation and mobility specialist, my grandmother. Like, I've had so many people who've helped me, and so it's only right to turn around and do the same thing, because there's going to be a day when I won't be around anymore, but I want everyone to be able to be their absolute best self. And one of my biggest goals is to leave something on this earth that wasn't here when I got here. And if people, that's very broad, but I do feel like, when it's all said and done, I'll be able to look back and say, oh, my contributions helped this person do this, that, and the third. The blueprint that I set, helped someone to see what was possible.
Yeah, I love that. And I think you've helped me, so that much.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we're talking about your TED Talk. I couldn't go without mentioning the fact that you sing Blackbird by the Beatles at the end of your TED Talk. And and on your website, lexgillette.com, you mentioned the fact that you are a singer.
Yeah. I'm trying to, right now, I actually am talking to this studio. So that's the next thing.
Nice.
To actually record a full-length album. So that should be fun. I think that'll be a very nice venture, and kind of see how that plays out. But that's always been a goal. I recorded singles before, but never a full project. So that should be exciting.
What kind, I guess, what genre would you say your music is?
I mean, definitely, yeah. I have a R&B sound.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. And I also noticed that you sing the national anthem. You've actually sung it before some sporting events. Was it an NFL game?
I did. Let me see. I've sung it a few times, but off the top of my head, one of the first times when I sang it, it was at a San Diego Padres game, and
that's the one I saw. That's the one I saw.
Yeah, and they were celebrating all of the athletes who were going to the Olympics and Paralympics.
Oh, cool.
And I remember being in that. I remember standing there on home plate and I was singing. Actually, before I even started singing, I was like, you can't mess up. You can't mess up. You can't mess up. Because you always see those videos on YouTube of people messing up the words or, you know, and so I'm like, oh, all right, let's get through this. And that was like, it was nerve-wracking because there's 20 plus thousand people inside of this stadium, and a lot of my friends and people are like, oh, well, it shouldn't have been okay. You can't see anybody in there. And it's like, man, listen.
You know they're there. Yeah.
You know that they're there. and yeah, but I was able to, I got through it. I didn't mess up any words. And, you know, they clapped and things like that afterwards. It was a fun experience.
What's more nerve-wracking, singing the national anthem before the Padres game or competing?
Singing the national anthem for sure.
You know, that's so crazy because you have your all your training and everything is built leading up to that. But you probably just feel more comfortable, I'm assuming, with the athletic event.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that you put a lot of it on yourself. And again, like I go into the situation like, there's just so many videos out there. You don't want to be another person that adds to the collection.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I dabble in singing and songwriting, and yep. I record songs myself here in my room.
Oh man!
And my vocal style, I don't think you'd book me to sing the national anthem. So I think I'm gonna stay away from that. I do consider the fact, like what makes a good singer. Like my opinion is like someone who can sing the national anthem. So like you have like a frontman for a rock band. Yeah. You know, they're not going to like nail the national anthem, but, you know, they're going to sound good in their band.
Right.
But like a singer is going to, you know, go up there and sing the national anthem. So I give you major credit, man.
I appreciate that.
Where can people hear any of your music?
There's YouTube, of course. But once I do the album, though, I'll be sure to make sure that's all over the place. Spotify, and I still have, there's a song that I recorded like 7-8 years ago. It's called On the Stage, and I had wrote it before we had went to London, and that's on iTunes.
Yeah, well, I follow you on Instagram now, so I'll be able to keep in touch and see what you're up to. Yeah, so you have a website. I just want the listeners to know that if they want to learn more about you, they can go to lexgillette.com. I'll add the URL in the show description notes too, so you can click on it there. There you have T-shirts. You have a book you've written called Fly. You have videos to your public speeches. Lots of great content there, so everyone go check that out and give Lex a follow on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
At Lex Gillette, everything. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Lex Gillette. LexGillette.com. You can find me. Reach out. Yeah, I'm pretty responsive on all of the platforms, so would definitely love to hear from you.
Nice. Yeah, so I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I do like to give the opportunity to each of my guests to shout out like a nonprofit or like charitable organization that they support or maybe want to raise awareness for. Yeah. Do you have anyone in mind that you want to talk about?
Yeah, Classroom Champions. Classroom Champions is a socio-emotional learning, program. We have Olympians, Paralympians, and professional athletes who serve as athlete mentors for kids around the country and in Canada as well. And each month is devoted to a specific topic like goal setting, perseverance, healthy living, teamwork. And we record video lessons for our kids. And at the end of the video, we give them a challenge, a call to action. So something that they can work on specifically. And for example, goal setting. We tell them about short-term goals, about long-term goals. So, hey guys, what are 3 short-term goals that will help you achieve your long-term goal? And what is your long-term goal? So giving them the opportunity to tap into how to use goal setting. We talk about how we use goal setting as athletes. And each month we talk about something new, give them a new challenge. They will record us a video, or their teachers will post in our community and let us know how they tackled that challenge. You can see their progress. And we do live chats as well throughout the year. And then for me, a lot of times I like to, I always try to make sure that I can visit them in person at the end of the school year, because you build this relationship with these kids. And for me, they send their videos back. Or, for example, one year, one of my classrooms I had in Phoenix, Arizona, they made a podcast for me. The kids were like, well, it doesn't really make sense for us to make him a video. Let's do a podcast so he can listen to us. And so they did their podcast, and that's how they would let me know what they did to conquer that challenge for the month. It was super dope, really cool.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, so work with these, amazing kids who, a lot of them, come from challenging backgrounds, challenging, areas throughout the country and abroad. But it's an amazing organization. So check them out, classroomchampions.org. And if you're a teacher, it might be something that you're interested in. Phenomenal program, though.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, you can find. I'll add a link for Classroom Champions too in the show description. So if you're listening and you're interested in that, click that link and learn more. Well, Lex, man, I appreciate all your time, and
for sure,
really enjoyed everything you said, and hopefully my listeners will too. I'm sure they will.
Man, I hope so. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, stay safe out there in San Diego, and good luck with your training.
I will. I appreciate it. You stay safe up there in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and I'll be rooting for you 2021 for sure.
Yes, thank you. All the support is needed.
All right, Lex. Well, take care, man.
Alrighty.
Well, that's it for my conversation with Lex Gillette. I can't wait to watch him compete in the 2021 Paralympics in Tokyo. Let's hope he gets that golden medal. You can support Lex by visiting his website, lexgillette.com. Lex also gave a shout out to Classroom Champions, which is a nonprofit and charity that connects professional athletes to classrooms through a social and emotional based curriculum and mentorship experience. You can learn more about Classroom Champions by visiting classroomchampions.org.